Surf's up, guys? It's Mauisnake here, and today we're going to look at how Karrigan top-fragged his way into IEM Cologne. And if you guys aren't watching, I don't know what you're doing. IEM Cologne is back, land play is back, and CSGO just feels better because zero ping and players in the same room adds a level of excitement. And if you really watch those games closely, you can see that the mechanics feel a little bit different. You can see that those rifle swings maybe are not as strong against a player that's holding the angle. You can see that ops are just devastating in terms of how they just don't lose to rifles that often because the swings just don't beat them anymore. They can react instantaneously. There's no like online peaks. There's no advantages for somebody with higher or lower ping. Not that it's an advantage ever to be higher ping, despite what many people will tell you. There's videos on this. You can look it up, what lag compensation is really like in CSGO. Doesn't really work like that. In fact, little bit of a tangent. When I have 130 ping and I'm playing from Hawaii, when I swing, I don't see people on my screen. It is literally thin air. And then a person appears on my screen after I swing. When you have a high ping in this game in Counter-Strike, you don't see them before they see you. It actually like doesn't update your perspective. And literally, if you guys ever watched one of my streams back in the day when I really played more, you would see it. You would see that when I swing mid on Mirage window, I don't see people at top mid, and literally people will just appear on my screen. So anybody that says that to you, that like, oh, you have 150 ping, you should always swing. No, they just don't understand that it's always a disadvantage. So get that straight. But back to this. You know what? Yeah. So either way, on phases, map pick, they took it. Dust 2, moving into map number 2, Nuke. Complexity actually losing in spectacular fashion, 13-2 in the first half, and that's all we're going to watch. We're just going to look at the first half. This isn't biting off Launders and how he just only does halves. This is actually just the only relevant information in this one, because Karrigan only gets 19 kills in this game. He top frags, of course, 94 ADR, but look at where he gets all those kills. It's the CT side. When we filter for CT side statistics, he actually doesn't get anything on the T side. He goes 0-6 on the T side, in fact, 16 ADR only. So we're just going to look at why he succeeded on the CT side and how he was able to actually carry his team to doing incredibly well. Notice, though, he has the most deaths, and you'll see why he has the most deaths as his game progresses, because Karrigan always does stuff for the team. He is not a player that plays for himself whatsoever. So you usually see a higher death count for him because he actually does things that are correct in the macro sense. He does things that frequently make sense in terms of number fundamentals. And we'll get into the game now, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So pistol round here. This is going to be a rotation down. Early on, Complexity, they throw a smoke. That Fang explains the purpose of this. This is something Na'Vi throw a lot to set up electronic in his lurks towards outside. And if you really want a detailed explanation as to what that smoke does, check out the podcast. It's server time. Switch to the, click the timestamp about Na'Vi versus Gambit, and Fang gives a very detailed explanation about what that smoke does. But Karrigan rotates down. It's a 3-on-4 situation. He decides that he wants to even things out for him and his team. So he swings open the door, goes for a fight here against Rush. Doesn't actually win the fight, but does a lot of chip damage onto him. And is able to get the headshot onto Poison. Kind of held for a basic swing from Config there, but he waits for his team mostly because at that point they all rotate in, gets the kill onto Config, and again, you can see Karrigan, he just cares about, these win conditions and losing conditions, because what is a losing condition for him and his team right now? You press tab, who do you see on the scoreboard? It's Blame F. So what do you do there? He's on a lurk probably, right? So you close the door, but actually Blame F is making the most obvious approach possible as he comes in from ramp, and Karrigan takes him out. IGL on IGL violence as he's able to pick up 3-piece. So round number 2 here, Karrigan once again has to go for a rotate. You can see that he's actually playing an anti-strat, anti-flash route as he runs into the bomb site. He runs in looking at the wall because Complexity run a fast play to try to rush A. He won't be blind by that and can still probably pick up a multi-frag. So Karrigan, though, he lost his ramp player, decides that he was going to slowly make his way to pick up that angle. Or to potentially help out. Brokey's already rotated in, so he doesn't need to take it up, but he wants to be in a closer spot in case he needs to help. So Karrigan makes his way towards ramp, and now Brokey rotates down lower because the outside smokes means that Twist is relaying to the team that they could be down. So someone needs to take a position towards lower in case it's a multitude of people, and so Karrigan plays an off angle to try to take out these players. And this is a little bit poor mechanically from Karrigan. Like, maybe he could have got more, but he's holding an angle that, if you look at how Rush is entry fragging here, he's never going to hold look at Karrigan. So you can see that the entry fragger route, and Karrigan, I mean, Rush is always going to play the most standard, like, Rush is always going to do the most standard and proper entry fragger route in terms of crosshair placement, and notice he never even glanced at Karrigan. So Karrigan's able to do a lot of damage to Rush there, continues the spray to get the kill on Poison, but he's traded. It's a little bit sloppy there, maybe not as tight as you would want because the trade came a little bit too easy for Config, but either way, Karrigan's able to get one, although Complexity are able to take the round. So what we're going to see here is Karrigan on a Deagle, and this is really just, you know, the best gun now for these kind of rounds because you can just body shot spam, and you'll see that Karrigan doesn't want to take long range 1D angles. He wants to play close so that if anybody pushes him around the silo, what he can do is he can go for at least one shot, right? If he takes that 1D shot, great, that's fine. But then when he plays around the silo, he's going to have an opportunity to just go for body shots, and you'll see that every round that Karrigan has a Deagle, he wants to play up close. So you will see that as a trend. But here, the smokes come out from Complexity. Karrigan smokes off Secret. This is actually the one-way that he throws, and it's actually going to reward Twist just a little bit because Twist just kind of barely beats the smoke, so Blame F just decides to push through it. And really, at this point, Twist now, knowing that Blame F did push through a smoke, just kind of checks things out. Feels like it's still favorable for him if anybody pushed through that, but a ramp hit comes about. Or actually, it's not a ramp hit, my bad. They're ramping through ramp. They take ramp, and then they actually go through heaven. So they go up towards heaven. Karrigan thinks that maybe he can catch them as they're falling. He's kind of right about that, but just a couple seconds too late, and he loses the duel to JKS. But the rest of his team is still able to clean things up. So this is going to be Karrigan playing with an AUG now. So you see that he wants to throw the molly early on, a nade on top of that. So if anybody runs through the molly, they're at least going to take a lot of nade damage. He smokes out the door so he can play on top of Hut, and checks out kind of the Alexi B art position, that spot where a lot of people like to lurk to, where they'll go through the door smoke or the door molly with that smoke, post themselves by the vent, and they'll look for the 1v1 for anybody on top Hut or top Mustang. And I want to explain the setup really briefly now between Karrigan, Twist, and Rain, because there's a great smoke towards door here, and Karrigan is here on top of Hut, and what happens is Rain rotates in towards Mustang, and I think we get one more player. Actually, it's Brokey, my bad, I think, that rotates in. So what's going to happen is Karrigan and Rain are both kind of holding separate angles. There's a smoke at door, which should be fading right about now, so Complexity think this is an opportunity to go into the A-bomb site, but you can see that the rotation comes in, that really Complexity haven't taken any significant map control. So FaZe, it's kind of obvious to them what's going on right now, because there's only a couple opportunities for Complexity here. They can go towards like a dry walk towards outside, which is very unlikely. They can go towards ramp, in which case Olaf is holding it, or they can walk into this A hit, and you know, the anti-strat and a very likely call from Blame F and crew is going to be an upper hit. So Karrigan is still playing top Hut. We're going to see his perspective here because he's able to just reap the rewards of this setup. And notice he drops there. That is usually a bad play, but because Brokey is back silo and just killed a guy in Hut and says Hut dead, it allows Karrigan to know that he can now set up a just like firing squad setup between him and Rain, because look at how Rain is positioned here, how he's shooting Config from above, how Karrigan's from below. This is just a really solid play for Karrigan to just use the positions of his teammates to make sure that there's no way, it's not even a crossfire, it's just literally a barrage of bullets in one direction, and Complexity have no chance there. This is a really nice eco ace, or not eco ace, eco round from Karrigan. We're going to go through it a little bit quicker, because even though his teammate dies towards outside, Karrigan realizes he wants to be the equalizer in this round, so he will make his way towards Mini. But this is a round where you kind of, again, see kind of Karrigan's mechanics holding him back just a little bit. This is just 4 people with Glocks right now with no armor, and look at how kind of labored this is. It's pretty tough. He gets down to 3 HP, and you'd think a lot of people at the pro level probably shouldn't take that long, but, you know, he still does his job, and he does just well enough. But look at his score line, 9-2. When you have this score line, even if it's ecos and even if they're difficult kills, you still feel pretty good about yourself. I'm not going to lie. I think anybody can attest to that when they see that they're on a 9-2. They think, I'm on a hot start. Everything's working for me, right? It is, and it's going to keep working for him. So Karrigan starts things out. Back silo this time. He wants to throw a re-smoke for door. And this is kind of an interesting read, I would say. But I want to actually show this. So what Karrigan's going to do here is he's going to flash the right side of himself, and then he's going to swing. And I want you guys to see why it's so valuable for a back silo player to be a little bit more patient. Because when you lose your position towards back silo, everything is free for the T's. The rotation from heaven is a lot less effective when they don't know what's going on down here. So you're going to see this from JKS's perspective as he's kind of entry fragging here, and why Karrigan maybe should have been a little bit more careful. Because he throws the flash, but he swings right into it before the flash actually pops. If he had waited for the flash to pop, maybe it's a free kill. Maybe Rush beats the flash a little bit, but either way, swinging that early means the round is literally over. There's nothing that anybody can do. Very, very small detail that kind of punishes Karrigan there. But once again, where is he playing with a deagle? He's playing up close and personal. And something that's great is that what you see from Karrigan is you're not going to see him just pushing in by himself. He kind of goes for a little bit of a peek here. But what he does now before he actually commits towards that space is he sets up a little bit of a conga line. Twist and Rain now right behind him, and Karrigan decides to be the entry fragger, knowing that Twist is going to always trade it, knowing that Rain is always going to trade it. They put the best gun in the back, and Karrigan goes for a little bit of a ramp play because they lost eyes towards outside, able to get that kill onto JKS, who was the lone lobby lurker. And then now, this is a little bit weird. Just to explain a quick fundamental for you guys, in a numbers advantage situation, you usually, on the CT side especially, do not need to make any kind of aggressive play. And this is a moment where it does feel like Karrigan, despite knowing that, recognizes that Complexity have all of the positioning right now. As soon as Brokey dies right here and doesn't get a kill, it's a 4-on-4. Now the number game changes. When you're in an even man situation for a CT side, you need to either gain position, firepower, or a numbers advantage once again. So what Karrigan does here is he knows that, and so as soon as he recognizes the 4v4, you can imagine that he's calling the following. Guys, we can't let them plant. We can't let them have post-plant positions. We need to make sure that we are taking something away from them. Probably in shorter words than that, you know? Probably play faster is a way that he could call that. Or look for a pick here. Or let's push into to B. He doesn't need to explain the fundamental logic behind it. But that's probably what's going on. So what happens is Olaf and Rain actually get kills simultaneously at their positions. Rain is towards decon, Olaf is towards ramp, but Karrigan is already mentally committed towards this, and he actually just runs through and gets another kill. So, despite it being a brief 4v2 situation and Karrigan doesn't need to push, he already committed himself towards that push towards the site, and they win the round because everything just works out for FaZe there. Great push to start it. Great kind of late round decision making from them, and it's an early ramp hit to come out, and Karrigan actually just full blinds himself. That's kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. Flash lands right at him, doesn't actually blind him nearly at all because it lands at his feet, and then Olaf's just picking him off, and Karrigan kind of just ran through a molly right there, let's be honest, but he just ran through a smoke and was able to get a round winning kill, so he's okay with doing it again. So this is a round where I'm going to speed through it. I'm going to go at 2x speed because I want you guys to still see the nades that he's throwing here in case you guys want to slow it down. But he doesn't actually frag anybody in this situation, but he helps out a lot of people. So he throws a flash towards outside to set up a peek. He's just mostly holding towards hut. And this is kind of like the heaven position. This is kind of what you do. You're always kind of looking for where can I help out, because there's a lot of sight lines you have from this spot that you can help multiple people out. But Karrigan just kind of throws nades to try to help those positions out. He decides to smoke ramp, goes back up towards heaven. Brokey just picks him off, and I think at this point, everything is done. I think he throws all his nades, everybody just dies. So that's sometimes the life of a Heaven player, the life of the A anchor. But in round number 10 here, we're going to see a great position where he knows it's a gun round and he wants to play, again, a nice setup. So Molly towards the door feels a little bit foolish because his smoke he throws his smoke as the opponents throw their smoke. I don't really know why Complexity threw their smoke right then. I think they wanted to throw a door lurk smoke, but just did it a little too early. I think that's just a mistake from JKS, actually, because you never really want to smoke yourself off towards door, unless you think there's an op maybe posted on you. But we're going to just look at the setup a little bit again, as it's a 3-man towards this position. And I want you to guys see Olaf's position. This is the coolest position by far in how this whole thing just works together. Karrigan is going to get a free kill if anybody comes out the smoke, obviously, right? Like, there's nothing crazy about that. Rain is going to swing off of Karrigan if more contact comes in towards door, but Olaf is actually positioned to show his backpack towards anybody through mini, and I will show you guys what that looks like. So we're going to actually fly over towards mini and look at what happens when Olaf positions himself right there. That position is so strong, and I haven't really seen anybody play this as an A anchor, but it is so powerful because teams will generally assume that there is a player behind silo anyways, so giving up this position is not that essential. But what it does is that if anybody sneaks in through towards mini, they can then see his backpack, they will shoot his backpack, and that is when Karrigan is most enabled, because what Karrigan can do now is that he can swing into killing anybody coming out mini. He should probably crouch here, to be honest. But either way, it's still, like, this is still such a cool setup that I really liked coming out from FaZe. Like a little backpack bait from it. And it seems very purposeful that Olaf is there. They do break up that setup, and but it's kind of a neat idea. And whether it's like 100% on purpose or not is like, to me it doesn't matter, because I'm just saying that position would work. So Molly again lands on Karrigan as the exec finally comes out. What does he do? He swings through it, gets 2, because everything is just working for Karrigan in this game. Round number 11 though. This is one of those A rushes from Complexity that just work. So I want you guys to see the nades and what they do on this one, because Karrigan just gets full blinded. Great flashes come in and nothing he can really do. So even though there's double molly, we're going to slow this down just a little bit as Blame F and crew are throwing flashes to blind Karrigan. You're going to see that there's a flash that is already in that came out through the door. You kind of see it right here. This would actually be better on Skybox, because you can see the nades better. But there's a molly back silo. There is a smoke towards mini. Flashes going in towards mini, so Karrigan never can recover. And that's the full fast A exec coming in. And Rush even just jumping through a Molotov, running through it, and taking out Rain. Just a really fast A hit coming out from Complexity, and they're able to steal the round. Or they're able to steal a couple kills. They don't win the round. But just a cool set piece. This round here is showing how some of those boring support nades we saw earlier from Karrigan actually help out. So what he's going to do is he's going to throw a flash here after he throws the smoke to help out outside, because what's happening is Complexity are taking a lot of space towards outside, and so Karrigan knows that, you know, spamming these smokes kind of useless, but what can you do instead? He can enable Rain. Flash pops out. And look at that. Just one dude completely blind. Actually, 2 guys completely blind. Config not completely blind, but Rain and Twist just push on through. Config somehow hits the double spray, but still a really cool support flash from Karrigan there. But this is where Karrigan, everything is just working for him, because they just happen to line up as that smoke dissipates, and he gets 2. Swings for more, but Poison takes him down. You know, arguably doesn't need to go for that swing right there, but either way, really, really great timing from Karrigan as he drops down there. You don't really expect another player to be outside like that, but Karrigan made a great rotation. So just decides to flip the script in this round. Just goes for the fast play, catches JKS once again towards lobby, and that's just a gamble play. And it's one of those things that when you're up 10-2 on CT side, you just feel like you can do it. And good spam through the smoke there, just like a really lot of damage. And now he smokes off the door, rotates in because he heard those players cross. but knows that they can still slow down and probably come back towards mini. But so he just actually sits around Asia. There's a flash in, but there's a great crossfire between him and Twist. And at this point, he's just rotating around. Made huge audible cue that he's there, and BlameF does punish him for that. That's kind of what you get for being that loud about it. But either way, just a really solid round up until that point. So another A rush. I mean, the only things that have worked for Complexity are these A rushes. So what are they going to run again? An A rush. So let's just slow it down once again. We can see the utility from Complexity. Karrigan decides to go towards Age Event. They smoke the molly. There's a flash. He's completely blind, or he's kind of blind as he takes that fight. And really, that's pretty much it. But his teammates are there to clean up. And that's what, like, that's kind of because Rush threw a smoke that they had to run through, which made things just really difficult. And that's not like Rush's fault. That's just that they wanted to commit to the strat because they knew that the only thing that was working on their CT side were those fast plays. And now Karrigan just decides to get aggressive once again. Like, I mean, this guy doesn't respect utility at all. He gets one kill. That's going to be it for the half. We're going to look at the scoreboard here as this half ends, and we'll do a little bit of a quick summary here because that's going to be it for the demo review. We're not going to switch over as Karrigan has 130 ADR, 33 utility damage, 10 enemies flashed. How often do you see that on the CT side of Nuke? But that's from throwing outside flashes, a couple from towards ramp. 1.9 KD though. Overall, really stellar performance from Karrigan there. We'll go back to look at the HLTV stats just a little bit more as we'll see that there on Nuke. I mean, 2 flash assists, 9 headshots, 19 kills, and the only reason this number isn't higher is because he didn't do anything on T side in terms of stats wise. I mean, did set some things up with flashes, but not like no fragging. But still, huge impact rating because of the multi-frags and early like kind of first kills that he got. Kind of a low KAST, but again, that's because he died a lot on T side, and also he dies a lot even when he just kind of the way he plays. He just always like is looking to be someone that evens things out number wise. He like it's like. You can tell that Karrigan has fundamental principles for the way he wants to play Counter-Strike, and he always wants to adhere to those, and his plays are dictated by those. Whereas you look at people like BlameF and Rops, for example, and they will value the high percentage win in micro engagements a little bit more than sometimes the macro implications of the what's going on. And so that's why it sometimes feels like Rops misses timings. Karrigan will never miss a timing unless he's like too fast almost. It's almost like if he missed it, he dies because he missed it. Whereas like Rops will like always err on the side of caution. BlameF too. They'll always err on the side of caution because they will really take their time with everything they do and make sure that they have the highest percentage likelihood that they're going to win a fight. You know, Rops has evolved his game a little bit, but you can just see such a stark contrast with the way Karrigan plays. He's just like running everywhere, making sure he's helping out, making sure he covers all the angles he needs to, even if it puts himself at risk. But you can't really say the same about some players who are a little bit more selfish. But it's great to see that a player that cares so much can be rewarded occasionally with games, that you don't always have to play the super selfish style. But that's going to be it for the demo review, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is just kind of, I mean, I'm doing a variety of content right now. But this is me going back to just like player analysis things. I think I am Cologne. Why wouldn't I do player analysis things? So I'm going to throw out the old, use the old thumbnails a little bit. The reason I was doing new thumbnails is because I didn't actually have Photoshop on the computer I was using for the last few months. So it's going to be the old thumbnails, as you may see right there. It's going to be the old titles because I realize you guys just like those more. And either way, it was fun to throw out the new thumbnails, but hopefully you guys enjoy. That's going to be it. I don't want this video to go too much longer. Just getting back into the groove of things in terms of demo reviews. So as always, guys, being toxic is a choice.